right, party people, we're back. We're Married at First Sight, and I'm going to go ahead and combine these episodes. I thought about doing them separately, but they're the weddings. So that's what this is going to be labeled as the weddings. Because you kind of need to kind of get the whole ambiance. I don't, I didn't feel like I could get, the sense of what was going on just by one episode. So I actually took the liberty, if you guys will give me that grace, to combine these two together. So the next episode that we have to look at, we only have one more wedding. And then we actually go to the honeymoons, which I actually think that's where it starts. I've seen it where the people haven't been attracted to somebody in the wedding, but then it got to end and they figured out, how to do it. So I actually don't use the weddings to give me any real information until I actually can go back after looking at the season and start looking at some of the red flags that might have, tickle the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, okay, I remember them saying this and I remember them doing that. So let's start out. Let's go with Stacia and Nate. So Stacia tells after they see each other at the altar, I thought they actually had a really cute wedding. And I love the fact that they both gave each other cameras as a gift. And I love the fact that some of the grooms gave their, at that time, fiancés engagement rings before they actually got to the altar to get the wedding ring. So I thought that was, really considerate. Kind of brought them spiritually to a togetherness place. So we'll see, how that works out. And I see it's a good potential for these two. Either way, I can see it working or I can see it not working at this moment. So I have a question about his female friends and how he's going to integrate his friends from his single life into his married life. And I don't see that as a concern for her at this moment. She's been very clear about her expectations. So we'll kind of monitor it and see, how it develops, over the season. And then everybody want to talk about this freak date. So I showed you the video with him at the bachelor party. So we'll see, how this continues, to go. He actually had a conversation, with his friends about how spicy, his marriage life, could be. And like I said, it's a question mark. So I'm going to just leave it, right there. So next, so what am I thinking? Okay, about Nate. Nate seems like he's really attracted to his wife. I really like that. They really vibe on the fact that they wanted, a power spouse. So he wanted a power wife. She got a power husband. He supports her and her business, ventures, which is really important, to her. We're still going to have to hear about this post-nup and see, how down, he is with that, which I think it'll be fine because it's really not fair that 8 weeks and they might not, work. So I think they do like maybe a prenup. If I find out that information for sure, I'll come back and let you guys, know. So we'll, see. Everybody's on hold. So we're going to look at Alexis and Justin. And at the altar, it could have gone up, any way. I could understand somebody seeing it in a negative, and I can also understand somebody seeing it in a positive. So right now, I'm really neutral on these two because it takes a minute to kind of absorb who's been chosen for you. And then you got all the other stuff. You want your family and friends to have a good time. You want them to support you. You want the best light to be shown upon the situation. So I'm looking at that. Heard him talking to her friends. Heard her talking to his friends. So my concern with Alexis is that, she's so familiar with being around dudes that I could see her easily putting one in the friend zone, even if she doesn't want to. It's just kind of like a natural inclination that happens. So I really am nervous for Justin, because if he doesn't present himself in a way that she's going to be able to accept, then he's going to get friend zoned. And this is going to go downhill real quick. So we'll see. So Nate's brother finally got on the bandwagon, finally let go of this parental kind of protective energy that he's had around him, and he's had to let go and let his brother just kind of do his thing as an adult. I mean, you've given him as much information as you can at this point, and he's gonna have to take that information and try to figure it out to make life, for himself. So one of the things Alexis was talking about at the wedding is that she wasn't expecting him to be as tall, as he was, because she emphasized tall. And I think last season, I can't remember who it was right now, but somebody wanted a tall dude. And I think it was Jasmina. And that kind of worked against the experts, because Michael was way shorter than she was. And then he allowed his emotions to dictate, his behavior, instead of, deciding to be balanced. Use your emotions when they make sense, and then use your logic when it makes sense. So it's like a Venn diagram. You've got to be able to take both sides and kind of blend them together, so that in the middle you can get and have the opportunity for all those things that you say that you wanted, out of a relationship. And so I think Michael kind of felt he was out of his league, and he reverted back into himself. So we'll see, how Justin does with it, because Alexis is very verbal. Very verbal. I haven't seen her be disrespectful in, her ability to communicate, thus far. I know some people could take it that way, but yeah, I haven't heard disrespect in her communication, as of this point. And so she was concerned about him being celibate. And I understand that, because it's not like he's the most attractive man. So when you look at somebody and they tell you that they're celibate by choice, and you're like, I don't know, because I can understand why people would want to have sex with you. I can see it again, from both sides. I'm not familiar with tall guys and, what people have of their expectation of tall guys, but I'm short. I'm like 5'4". So a dude that's 6'8", I mean, I would actually have to be like besotted in love with a 6'8" dude in order for me to be even curious about, who they are romantically. But she's taller than I am. I think she's like 5'10", 5'11". So that puts her in a whole different, place and space. So I understood some of her concern, with wanting somebody that's tall versus, a short dude. So I don't know. Like I said, this is all up in the air. My real review will start during the honeymoon. So just kind of giving filler here. And that's one of the reasons why I felt comfortable. Maybe I shouldn't, but I just kind of wanted to lump these two, episodes, together. So let's look at Lindy and Miguel. They both like each other, which is really nice. She communicated, some of her nervousness and some of her overthinking, abilities. But when she, got to the altar and she centered herself, she was cool. He was cool. I was a little disappointed in her brother. Her brother knows that she's not in the religion anymore. But his concern was is that she would get someone who honored God. And, I don't think that Christians honor God. So I don't know. For me, listening to that part of it, it really didn't mean anything to me because I don't think that Christians honor God. So the fact that he could even be feeling some kind of way about someone who doesn't believe in God, I'm just like disconnected. But coming from a Christian background, I do understand where his thought process, is coming from. I just wish Christians would just go deeper. Instead of bringing their stuff out to non-believers, I wish they would actually go deeper into their own faith, before they actually start talking to other people, about it. And I've had that experience, on both sides. So, Lindy, like I said, they like each other. Miguel said that he was smitten. He told his friend that. Oh, no, he told Mitch. Mitch and him ran into each other in the bathroom. And you can see the difference because Miguel is like really cool and really ready to dive off the deep end, into his marriage. And Mitch is like, oh, I don't know. Even though he said that this is the only way that he could see himself getting married. So you would actually think, in my mind, that he would be more on the deep end of diving into that part of the pool than Miguel, because he's had less experience and he knows that this is like his best opportunity to have that kind of relationship, that he really, really wants, with a woman. So it's really kind of interesting that he's, really reserved and holding himself, back. But it seems like they have a lot of interest, in common with the ocean. And she seems supportive of his nonprofit work. She said before that she didn't care whether he made a lot of money or not. It was more of him just being passionate about, whatever it is, that he does. And I don't see him questioning her, as much about her life. I think he's just trying to absorb all of the stuff that's happening, around him, because he seems like a real, like, blinders, kind of dude. And when you introduce too much stimulus, then it kind of takes him, out of his element. I'm using their interaction in the beginning, of the video, just to kind of give some perspective. Just giving a little perspective about, how the meet and greet process, kind of goes. And so what else do I have? Okay, so they both weren't committed people. They're both glad of the process. They hugged at the altar, which is always really nice. They gave each other really good vows. I'm hopeful for them, so we'll see. We'll see, how it goes. It was really interesting that he's a doctorate. He has a doctorate. Not Mitch. I'm thinking about Mitch and Lindsay while I'm talking about Lindy and Miguel. So Miguel has a degree. He has a degree in science. I want to say it's neuroscience. So it's really nice. They're all happy. Like I said, he's non-religious. That part makes her brother, less happy. But Lindy, thank you. Lindy doesn't seem to, have a problem with it. So, I thought that the garter situations with all of them were just really strange. So I don't know why people put that in the wedding thing, because I would never do it. No, I would never have the whole garter situation. And Ben and Morgan. So they had to have their wedding postponed. So when we see the next episode, they're going to be the only couple that is late to get married. And so I don't know how that's going to affect their honeymoon. Dr. Pepper said that it was going to be shaved off. So how many ever days it takes for Ben to test negative. Then they're going to get married, and then whatever time is left, they'll have it, for their they'll have it, left, for their honeymoon. So Morgan is really disappointed. It just I'm disappointed in Ben because it's just attention to detail. It's really important. I mean, getting up with your friends and family is just, you got to be able to prioritize. So I'm not sure how he prioritized himself when everybody else figured it out, and then he wasn't able to do that, and he ended up catching COVID. But that's another story, another video. So we'll see what their story, ends up looking like. So I think we're at the last couple, which is Christian and Mitch. And so she really does like Mitch. She's ready to do the get down. Mitch is more reserved. He's like, oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And Christian waited until the day of her wedding to tell her dad. And it seemed like her dad was going to, really just dig in her ass. Yeah, he seemed like he was going to go there, but he, really kind of looked at it from both sides. He was like, well, you tried to do it the traditional way the first time, and that ended in disaster. So I can see why you would think that this actually might have an opportunity, to work out for you. So he was kind of both sides of the situation. I really, appreciated that. My concern about Mitch is that he hasn't connected to her on that sexual level. He's connected to her on a human level, which I think is really important. But she's on a sexual level, and he's not. So this is a story left untold as of this point. And I was really kind of disappointed that she didn't make provisions for her dad to, have a tie. She didn't even have a tie provided for the man. I mean, or a jacket. It's like, girl, y'all could have fitted him for a jacket. Don't have him in the wedding pictures, with these casual. You could have done something else. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So the thing I have for Mitch is that he seems really low key. You see how he was talking about not liking a whole lot of makeup, not liking the whole glitz of the wedding thing. He's trying to be supportive because he knows that this is a traditional and something that, his wife, may enjoy, but he's communicating himself and saying that it's just not his jam, which I can get with, and he actually communicated, some of that to her. So they'll just have to kind of see. He'll have to see how much of a beach, person Christian is, and just kind of go, from there. He really can't make any hard assumptions about her because this is a traditional part of getting married. And when you decided to get married at first sight, you knew that this was going to happen. If this was something that it was important to you and you wanted her barefoot on the beach or something, then you should have communicated, that to the experts. But then they're paying, for everything. And if they don't want to do that, then you pay for it. And just move on. And you can tell that he's not a ladies' man. He actually seemed more interested in her mother than he seemed in her. So that's interesting. Because I'm sure her mother is older than he is. Maybe, but not, so much. So he might kind of be somewhere in between the age of his wife and the age of her mother. And this is going to be, an interesting, situation. So, I think that's it. And that's another reason why I kind of wanted to, combine these two. I didn't want to be short sighted on just looking at episode 2 and then having something to say without being able to have like a little more depth and breadth of information, to talk about these couples. So we'll see. The honeymoon to me is the real start of the show. And we'll have to go back, to the wedding and kind of pick up those nuggets as we, see the season, unfold. So I hope you guys are interested, in my perspective. And I appreciate, the comments. And I ask you to subscribe, like, and hit the notifications. My goal is to do one a week. I'm not sure if it's going to be Sunday, but it will be either Sunday or after when I do, my reviews, if it's something, that you're interested in looking at. So thank you for your time and attention. And until the next video.